with coverage you can count on. This is the Erie News NOWCAST.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Haley Potter. Thanks for joining us for tonight's edition of the Erie News NOWCAST. If you live in the city of Erie, you might soon face a new tax as City of Erie leaders want to spend more than $10 million improving the city's sewer system, then impose an additional fee to handle stormwater runoff. Parts of Erie's sewer system are more than 100 years old and they can't hold up to Erie's daily demand. So the mayor's team highlighted 7 key projects, including a major improvement to stormwater runoff sewers on Erie's east side. City officials say they'll pay for the project with $10.5 million from the American Rescue Plan.
It is out of sight, out of mind, but if you don't have one, and if you don't have one that's functioning correctly, it affects your everyday quality of life. And the impact of a stormwater system that's long-term, that's fully functioning, increases the quality of life for residents. It increases our economic ability for businesses to come into our region and be plug and play. And it also increases the ability of tourism, and it's all interconnected, we believe.
And city officials also proposed a stormwater runoff fee in which homeowners will pay between $12 and $36 a year. The CDC gives approval to booster shots for seniors and people at high risk, and the FDA approved senior citizens to receive the Pfizer booster shot. At Manchester Commons, staff and nurses are keeping up with the quality of life to ensure every resident is safe and healthy. We're told a majority of residents are already fully vaccinated along with the staff, and there are no active cases of COVID-19 within the facility right now. Booster shots have not been administered to the seniors quite yet, and they're just waiting on a clearance so they can do that.
So we are now in a situation where we're just waiting to hear that we can go ahead and give the boosters. We are so ready, willing, and able to give these boosters as soon as they give us the approval to do so.
We were not allowed to see a lot of the facility for COVID-19 protocol reasons, but Burke mentions that this pandemic has been a challenge for her staff, and of course the residents, but the staff are true superheroes throughout this journey. Penn State's main campus has suspended more than 100 students for not complying with COVID-19 testing requirements. The university requires students who do not have the vaccination proof to be tested for COVID-19 at least once a week. As of now, 117 students have been suspended at University Park because they've not proved proof of vaccination or testing for at least 3 weeks. The suspension means those students aren't allowed on university property and can't participate in classes, whether it's in person or remote. We reached out to those at Barron's campus, and they tell us they haven't had to suspend any students so far for submitting testing, but say it's something they're monitoring very closely. Right now at the Barron campus, 71% of students and about 82% of employees are fully vaccinated. And speaking of vaccines, U.S. Olympians gearing up for next year's Winter Games will need to include a COVID-19 vaccination in their preparations under new policies announced by the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. Athletes will need to show proof of vaccination by December 1st. Now, the new policy also states any athletes, staff, and others using USOPC training centers and other facilities will need to be fully vaccinated. Vaccination was encouraged but not required by the International Olympic Committee and USOPC ahead of this summer's Tokyo Games. The U.S. plans to send about 240 athletes to next year's Winter Games in Beijing, although this new policy will be needed to follow by anyone hoping to make the team. And while the pandemic has had an impact on every aspect of life, it did not affect the city's effort to crack down on code violations. The city is continuing to enforce its quality of life ticketing program. Now, the program launched in 2019 to improve the overall look and living conditions throughout the city. And so far, nearly 1,000 tickets have been handed out to people who are in violation. There are currently a total of 41 quality of life violations that the city can enforce. The most common violations are high grass and excessive garbage, as you can see there. Violators get a fine. If they don't fix the issue, they face another citation and court action. Code Enforcement Manager Andy Zimmerman says the program has made a difference in just the 2 years of time.
We worked right through the pandemic, the inspectors and so forth, and there was a lot more people at home and so forth, so it generated a little bit more garbage and so forth, but for the most part, we worked right through it.
Another category on that list is snow removal, so you'll want to make sure you keep up with your sidewalks in the winter. An event at Presque Isle will highlight clean energy and jobs. U.S. Representative Mike Kelly, State Senator Dan Laughlin, and State Representative Ryan Bizzarro held the event this morning at the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. The goal was to talk about how solar energy can create local jobs. Their main message is that investing in clean energy is good for both the environment and for the local economy. A local company's donation will go a long way in helping a charity realize its mission. Erie Tech donated more than $20,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation earlier today. The annual donation was triple matched thanks to raffles and auctions from the company. The Make-A-Wish Foundation currently has 35 wishes locally. Today's donation will help towards 17 of those 35 wishes, which the foundation calls travel wishes.
The last 2 years, because of COVID, we weren't able to have the golf outing, so what we did is, with the help of Jan Stork from Make-A-Wish, put together an online auction, and we received over $5,000 from the online auction, and we tripled the match to that.
It's also great because so many people have had to stop holding events and stop making donations because of the pandemic. So we are so thankful that they were able to do something this year.
And Make-A-Wish tells us over the years, Erie Tech has donated more than $90,000 so far. Thanks for joining us for the Erie News Nowcast. Join us for our next news at 10 p.m. on the CW and 11 p.m. on WICU and WSEE. Have a great night.